Live from clickorlando.com, News 6 Plus, and WKMG. We're getting results in your neighborhood now at 6:30 p.m.
Good evening. This is News 6 at 6:30, getting results. Thank you for joining us here live on News 6 Plus. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
And I'm Justin Warmoth. Tonight, the Deltona mayor is speaking with News 6 after coming under fire at a commission meeting this week. He's accused of going to D.C. during the presidential inauguration on the city's dime for thousands of dollars.
The city's travel policy states elected officials have to have the commission's approval for traveling out of state. It's something several commissioners say did not happen. News 6's Molly Reed went to the mayor, who is defending himself.
The mayor, Santiago Avila Jr., is standing by his defense that while he was in Washington, D.C., he did not attend the inauguration. He says he was there instead for the U.S. Conference of Mayors and to secure funding for the city. I think some people are just questioning whether you followed the travel policy and getting permission to leave the state. Did you go about that?
This is why it's important to kind of look and modernize everything we have, right? So there seems to be two different travel policies in our city, right? The one that they're talking about is from 2007. So let's just pretend for a moment that we're going to follow that policy, which, full disclosure, I accept responsibility. I didn't know that policy existed. I was going off a different policy.
I received copies of both the old 2007 and the updated policies. Both state commissioners and elected officials need to have the commission's approval for out-of-state travel. Avila Jr. admitted to not doing that, but says some city officials were aware.
I spoke to the city manager. I told them, the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and then I told them, hey, look, I got a really cool email from Senator Scott's office. They gave me a personal invitation to be at the inauguration.
Avila Jr. says he left before the inauguration. He only attended the mayoral conference, which had about a $1,500 registration fee. The city spokesperson tells me that the city did not pay for that, and he actually attended as someone's guest. She also told me that the city manager does not have the power to approve for out-of-state trips.
What happened after he got to D.C., it really doesn't even play into a factor, because the fact that he got there without our permission, that's a concern.
Dory Howington is the city commissioner who raised the issue at the meeting this week.
If we allow him to continue moving forward in this manner, what's to stop the next commissioner from deciding they want to go to New York?
Again, Avila Jr. says he was there to try to secure funding for the city, and he believes being in D.C. shows the residents he was committed to doing that. Again, that vote of no confidence and the hearing is set for the meeting on February 17th. In Deltona, Volusia County, I'm Molly Reed, getting results, News 6.
All right, let's turn to the weather. Here's a live look outside.
Oh, it's pretty.
Downtown Orlando looking gorgeous tonight. Nice and warm out there. Plenty of activities, and the weather's not in the way of anything that you have planned.
No, it doesn't look like tonight. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joins it. That sky almost looked like purple or something.
It did, yeah. Those extra clouds started to come into play, reflecting off some of that sunlight as it is going down below the horizon tonight. We are very warm, 75 in Palm Bay right now. Claremont and Groveland, we're still hanging around 80 degrees. Bushnell, we're at 77. Mount Dora, Sanford, good evening. We're right around 80 degrees as well. Cooler spot, Wildwood, we're back to 72. Very warm everywhere. The good news is fog has not come in yet. That's as expected. We are going to be watching that chunk of fog, though. It's already developed out over the Gulf of Mexico, and that is going to work its way back in from west to east towards the I-75 corridor overnight, and then try to get as far to the I-95 corridor again from west to east. I do think the fog tomorrow morning will be a little more widespread. It'll be a little more dense as well, so just keep it easy again. Patchy fog again to start your day tomorrow. We're back to the upper 70s, though, by 7 o'clock. Again, a very nice evening to be outside. Mid to upper 60s on the other side of midnight as well. And again, a warm start to the day. Tomorrow, just watch out for some fog. We're going to pinpoint the timeline of that fog, guys, coming up at about 6:47.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. A 7-year-old has died after a tragic accident at Orlando Dragway. According to a verified GoFundMe, Elianis Diaz Rodriguez was in a crash while she, quote, fulfilled her dream of driving her junior dragster. The Florida Highway Patrol says they responded to Orlando Speed World Sunday after the 7-year-old lost control of her junior dragster race car. Troopers say that she hit a safety guide employee before slamming into a concrete wall. The 34-year-old employee had non-life-threatening injuries, but the little girl was initially listed in critical condition. The GoFundMe says she spent 2 days in the hospital before being declared brain dead on Tuesday. Orlando Speed World posted about the accident, saying their hearts and prayers are with the family and the racing community. Eastland Christian School also announced the loss on its Facebook page, saying the first grader was a bright light in their school.
Well, Governor Ron DeSantis gave a good news update on Florida's insurance industry yesterday. He said your auto insurance premiums could go down, but it does not apply to everyone. It depends on what insurance company you have. Geico, State Farm, and Progressive intend to file for lower rates between 6 and 10.5%. Local insurance agent Thomas Cotton told us it could cause other companies to try and lower their rates.
When the two primary carriers, and I say primary carriers, the ones that write more automobile insurance in the state of Florida than anybody else, if they are beginning to show rate decreases as a result of these reforms, the other 100 carriers that write automobile insurance are sure to follow, because it is a competitive environment. If the leaders are taking their rates down, the followers are going to take their rates down.
No word on when the rates could go down, as there is an administrative process with the states that takes some time. It has been more than a year now since Brevard County and its firefighters got to work on a new contract. As the difficult negotiations continue, more than 100 firefighters have quit their jobs in search of better pay and work-life balance.
That is a problem. And since last summer, we've been telling you how Brevard firefighters make just $15 an hour when they're hired. And for comparison, in Orange and Seminole counties, where a lot of them are leaving for, entry-level pay there is about $23 and $25 respectively. Another rally like this one last year taking place at the Government Center in Vieira, and News 6's James Barbero is there seeking solutions for these local heroes.
This is the third time in the last year we've come to a rally like this. In over 20 years of negotiating, one of the firefighters here I know told me this is the longest they've been at a standstill. Mike Bramson is the lead negotiator for the firefighters. Mike, $15 an hour has been such a jarring number to our audience to know that firefighters, local heroes, those in case of emergency who respond, that's how little they're getting paid. What would you like to see that increase to?
I can't give you a specific number, but it'd be awesome to say similar to our neighbors.
How many more firefighters do you fear could leave if things don't change?
We're at a critical staffing issue right now. Is there a number? I don't know a number, but I know that every time someone leaves, we don't replace them with the same amount of experience or even certification.
And while the rally is going on, the county says it's invited the union to negotiate just down this hallway inside that room. However, looking inside the room, you can see that the union isn't in there. The county gave us a statement that says the union is touting the number of personnel lost, but they won't come to the bargaining table. The county says you guys aren't coming to the negotiating table right now. What do you say about that?
Well, we're at an impasse. I still have to go on shift. I can't do union business there.
You hear the firefighters cheering right now because County Commissioner Katie Delaney is addressing them. She campaigned on helping firefighters.
We have the best trained fire department in the country. I'm going to go out and say that. We have the best trained people in the country. And they deserve to have the support of the government officials who are supposed to have their back.
Mike, the lead negotiator, told me he's not sure when a resolution could be reached. The county wrote in its statement, they hope it's sooner than later. We'll update you whenever we have more news. In Brevard County, I'm James Sparvero, Getting Results, News 6.
All right, let's take a look at what's trending right now on Central Florida's #1 news website, clickorlando.com. When you think about earthquakes, Florida probably does not come to mind, especially since the state isn't over any active fault lines, but that doesn't mean it can't happen. Nearly a year ago, Florida was rattled by a 4.0 magnitude quake off the coast of Brevard County, and that's a pretty big number, especially for us. So could there be more in our future? You can find out by checking out this story at clickorlando.com. I mean, I think about what's happening in Santorini, Greece right now, where they're being rattled just about every day, and I feel like the earth feels everything and it's just passing it down the line. So I think we probably will feel more.
I hope not.
I
hope
mean,
not.
It could happen,
I mean,
though.
yeah, it is nice to not be on a fault line.
Yeah.
Obviously, we deal with it. We have our own fair share of natural disasters. So I hope that we don't see them.
Have you ever felt, or you've been
No,
out west where
I
there's
have
one?
not.
The ground feels like liquid.
They said it's a really weird feeling.
You think
my
you have
brother lives
vertigo?
in
Something,
Seattle.
it's
they've
not right.
They've had it. It is a little strange. I don't love it. I don't love the fact that, hopefully they just stay away from here.
Pass.
Anyway, let's move on. Here are some other stories trending on clickorlando.com. If you're a big Sprouts grocery store fan, got some good news for you. Sprouts Farmers Market announcing plans to expand its reach in Florida by opening more than 7 new stores in the state. The next one, get this, set to open in March in Central Florida. We have the list of all 7 new locations on our website, so check that out if you're interested.
All right, lastly, if you need more Valentine's Day ideas for your significant other, we got you covered. Disney World may be known as the most magical place on earth, but it can also be the most romantic place on earth if you know all the best kept secrets. Digital producer Haley Coombs shares those secrets with us. Just head on over to clickorlando.com to get your romantic itinerary going.
Ginger, can I go on a soapbox for a second?
Oh boy.
Not a soapbox.
Can I stop you? No.
Here's the thing. I love gifting my significant other with Valentine's Day everything, right?
Yeah.
It's great. Here's the thing. I'm not getting anything other than love in return.
What more do you want?
Where are the gifts? How come it's all tailored?
Wow.
I want something. But like I'm not being marketed for out there. I don't know. I think that
You want to
needs
stay
to
in
change.
that relationship?
I know. Here's the thing, Ginger. I've picked a show that I know she's working, so I'm getting out of my system now.
Oh my
But I
gosh.
just think that's so interesting, and I think
I mean,
as
it
our
depends,
world has
too.
evolved, I think we should take care of the other side.
I get my husband something.
Well, you're unique.
Am I?
I've never received anything since like elementary school when everyone gets something, candy and whatnot.
Justin, we got to work on that.
I know.
All right, so if you've been in Central Florida for a long time, and we mean quarter of a century or so, you are very well aware and may have heard of the story of the junk man in Seminole County.
If you haven't heard about him, you're about to. News 6 has been covering the story of this gentleman since 2000.
Wow.
Yes, coming up. If you thought there was junk before, just wait till you see how much is there now. That's coming up next. You're watching News 6 at 6:30 live on News 6 Plus. We're getting results in Longwood, Eustis, and all of Central Florida. We'll be right back.
She's not watching tonight.
She's not.
Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Well, some longtime Central Floridians may recognize this infamous sculpture. You can kind of, there we go. There's a good look at it, right in your face, Ginger. This was built by Alan Davis, known to some as the Seminole County Junk Man. For 25 years now, Davis has been piling junk in the front yard of his home.
Yeah, he has racked up millions of dollars in code violation fines. Yes, we're talking millions. And yet, as News 6 investigator Mike DeForest shows us, Davis continues to annoy his neighbors with his unsightly yard.
By this time tomorrow, a sheriff's investigator will likely drive by here to confirm that Davis has violated the court order.
Nearly 25 years ago, I began covering complaints about this Central Florida home.
It's a junkyard.
Seminole County officials said the owner, Alan Davis, had been piling junk in his yard in violation of local ordinances.
But every time they keep screwing with me, I keep moving more. And there is nothing they're going to do about it.
Back then, Davis had just a small amount of junk on his property.
You think there's a lot here now? Why don't you come back by tomorrow? Let's see what I really think of the county.
At that point, Davis had not yet built this giant statue of a human rear end, which he would later load onto his truck and drive down the interstate while headed to court hearings.
The name of the sculpture is Kiss My and you can just do it.
Davis had not yet been arrested, put on trial, and sent to prison for criminal littering.
You got a pool back there that's really, really bad.
Did you think when I first met you nearly 25 years ago that we would be standing here talking today?
No. Well, I thought for sure by now it'd be cleaned up, to be honest with you.
If the government can tell you what to do with your property, you don't have freedom. This is freedom.
This is freedom.
This is freedom.
Alan Davis's 25-year history annoying his neighbors out here with all of this junk is simply too wild for us to tell in this short TV story. That's why we've put together a mini documentary about this ongoing neighborhood dispute. You can find it right now on our website, clickorlando.com. Mike DeForest, News 6.
Well, I would just move. I mean, it's, you know, this is where you appreciate an HOA, because if you wake up every morning and that huge buttocks is staring
Not
you
just
in
that,
the
there's just so
face.
much junk.
Yeah.
The thing is, too, it's like Mike has re-interviewed him and has re-interviewed his neighbor, as you saw.
Yeah.
The guy hasn't left. But what's so crazy, if you watch that documentary on
and we highly
YouTube,
recommend you do.
It is the most captivating 15 minutes. You cannot look away. This gentleman is a one-of-a-kind person, and love him or hate him, I kind of respect it to keep this up for this long.
He turns out to be the charming character in this story, if you can believe that.
Kinda. It's
oh
crazy.
my goodness, yeah, just watch it on clickorlando.com. All right, let's take you outside right now. This is our Mount Dora camera. Wouldn't you like to just be out there for a little picnic, a little dinner, some cocktails?
I mean,
that's beautiful.
That's
Look at the water's
gorgeous.
like glass.
It's perfect out there, absolutely perfect. We know downtown Mount Dora is a place that's always bumping, and boy, there you go.
Oh, there it is.
I don't know, they have a little tent up blocking our view. I'm not quite sure what's
Oh,
going
is there
on.
some sort of festival this weekend,
Probably
Justin?
another one. Probably. I mean, people love downtown Mount Dora. People
Check
love
with your expert.
People love this weather as well.
Yeah, it's
and
beautiful.
It's copy and paste.
It is. That still glass-like water is going to lead to some more fog tonight. That clear sky, calm wind thing. So we're going to also cooler atmosphere in that direction. That's going to lead to more of that radiation fog. And we also have that sea fog that's really been plaguing our skies in the morning. It's also going to be around, especially west of 75, Orlando and west. We'll get into that in just 1 second. That fog does come in a little thicker this evening, really overnight and into tomorrow morning again. And it's going to be a little more widespread, I think, tonight. And then Saturday night, or Saturday morning, I should say. So Friday morning, Saturday morning, that's when we're going to see another round of very thick fog. It's going to turn warmer for the weekend, and it's going to stay on the drier side again. Here's a live look in Brevard County right now with our Launch Credit Union camera. Temperatures back to the low 70s. The breeze at about 9 miles an hour right now. Visibility, doing okay. We're 10-mile visibility throughout parts of Orlando. Melbourne, we're looking good. Cocoa Beach. You see that little gray blotch right there on your screen, south of about Kissimmee, St. Cloud. There were a couple of controlled burns down there earlier. One thing I'm concerned about overnight as we have some of that lingering wildfire smoke or prescribed burn smoke could mix with some of that fog and get some super fog. So if you are going to be driving, that's a real thing, by the way. Super fog is when you combine that wildfire smoke with actual fog. So watch around the turnpike, also the 441 tonight for any of that developing. Also watching that big mess coming in from the Gulf of Mexico. Here we go. That's 11 o'clock for us on our Friday evening. As we get into the early morning hours of our Friday, you see the zero visibility. It really starts to take shape from west to east there. It encompasses Orlando and Kissimmee, St. Cloud, Holopah. Doing a little bit better, maybe right along the Atlantic coast, but nonetheless, this fall is going to be a little more widespread and a little thicker than what we woke up to this morning, which, again, we got a nice break, relatively speaking, from what we've seen over the past couple of days. That fog will be there. Temperatures right around 60 in Groveland, 62 degrees in Kissimmee, 59 in Holopah. Right now, we're back to the upper 70s in Sanford, 78 Mount Dora, 77 in Claremont, 78 degrees in Kissimmee to St. Cloud, 76 in Holopah, Melbourne. Good evening. We're back to the mid-70s. Now here's a look at your pinpoint, accurate forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Florida Lottery.
Temperatures tomorrow, same ballpark as today, back to the lower 80s. We will watch that fog thick in spots tomorrow morning. And then gradually, like the last several days, that will lift and make way to a lot of sunshine. That will continue to help to heat us back up into the 80s, where we have been for the last couple of days. We're going to add another 80-degree box, 82 today in Orlando for Thursday, and I think most of next week also going to be into the 80s. Runaway freight train in the temperature department in terms of February so far, we are way, way out of normal at this point. 85 degrees on Saturday, 85 on Sunday. We're back to the middle 80s again on Monday and Tuesday. And then you see it there. There's that warm-up. We could be pushing records starting from the weekend. What? 88.
Holy
yes.
I should have thought that.
No.
Yeah, we just bypassed the mid-70s.
It's crazy. I know. And I know, like, okay, it was just in the 40s, and now I'm complaining that it's in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like,
give us something in the middle.
It's like, okay, here's my soapbox. So this is going to be the news of the soapbox. This is our time.
Yes, it is.
February and March.
Thank you.
Yeah.
To have the best weather in the country. And the 80s are great, don't get me wrong.
They are.
But the 70s
man, the
are better.
70s.
Right, you're not breaking a sweat with the 70s.
No.
80s, you might break a little sweat. I agree, Jonathan, I'm with you.
Permission to join you on that
Yes,
soapbox.
that's
All
right.
Thanks, Jonathan.
We clearly need to eat because I think the lack of nutrients here playing a role in how we feel. Anyway, the only microbrewery inside Oviedo's city limits will be closing at the end of the month. Oviedo Brewing Company's last day is unfortunately February 28th.
Yeah, sadly, it's another loss at a mall that has been trying to reinvent itself. And with so many of these same stories across Central Florida, News 6 reporter Catherine Silver set out to find out what the future of Oviedo's mall looks like.
Maybe you've been here to the Oviedo Brewing Company. It's a popular spot here at the mall, but the owners say because of rising costs, current economic challenges, and past problems from the pandemic, it's just too difficult to keep these doors open. That's what they said when they posted on social media they'd be closing at the end of this month. There are dozens of likes and comments on this post, and we see posts like this far too often. In fact, a report released last year by the U.S. Small Business Administration said some 91,000 small businesses closed statewide. This mall has seen businesses close through the years, as shopping malls in general have become retail relics.
Pretty dead most of the time.
Seems like every time you come, either something new or something old is closed. And that's kind of discouraging.
Through the years, management has been slowly fixing maintenance issues, a leaking roof and aging infrastructure.
We've got almost all the leaks patched, so we're almost done with the roof. About 2.5 years ago, we put in all new air conditioning.
Kevin Hypes has set out to redefine what the Oviedo Mall looks like.
We're making this medical Main Street.
He showed us his vision.
We're going to downsize the retail to that side of the mall where Dillard's is.
There's been talk through the years about apartments. Where do these projects stand?
You know, the apartments have been in the works for years. And I don't talk about it too much because it's a very complicated transaction. It's not that the developers don't want to be here, but it takes time. There's a lot of approvals. There's multiple property owners in this complex.
Is that a dream or will that be reality?
That's real. They've already got site plan approval.
Hype says it doesn't happen overnight, but he sees opportunity in Oviedo.
I can only explain that we're working hard on it and we're doing the best we can, and it will eventually happen.
Catherine Silver, Getting Results, News 6.
Well, when it comes to Central Florida's tourism, there continues to be a lot of growth in a lot of areas, from the theme parks to the hotels.
Yeah, that's for sure. Businesses and government leaders gathered this morning at the State of Hospitality and Tourism. It's a deep dive of data. We learned Florida's demand for hotel rooms remained above pre-pandemic levels for a third straight year. Stronger growth is also expected in 2025. Nilda Blanco is with Career Source Central Florida. She points to upcoming projects like the opening of Universal's Epic Universe as a big driver for hospitality and tourism.
Much growth here in Central Florida. How do you keep up when it comes to staffing?
I think that's definitely a big challenge. I think there's two things to really consider is how do we engage our youngest workers and those young people who are sitting in school right now.
So Blanco says a big problem is there are more people aging out of the industry workforce than young people who are currently working. She says connecting and engaging workers is going to be a key to keep up with the staffing demands, and that will certainly be challenged as more people travel to Central Florida over the next year. We'll be right back.
All right, Super Bowl weekend is knocking on our front door, but before we head to Sunday for the big game,
it's time to check in with the zoo animals to determine if their predictions for the winning team will come true for Super Bowl Sunday. All right, so if you need a team to root for, let's go here. The Birmingham Zoo is one of the places across the country, one of the many taking part in this annual tradition. They asked 5 animals to pick who they thought would win Sunday. Got a possum, got a skunk, a serval, an African serval. I don't know.
serval, I think, is that cat that eats the coffee?
Maybe. Yeah. Black vulture right there. And then a possum and a parrot as well. All taking their picks
for
gosh. Who they have.
All right, so when you tally up the numbers, 3 went for the Eagles and 2 went for the Chiefs. So this may be a very close call. We'll just have to wait and see what actually happens in 3 short days.
I think that's a pretty good indicator of how a lot of people feel about this game. It's It's
Yeah.
honestly,
Either-
it's a flip a coin game.
Yeah.
How close these teams are.
I'm gonna wait until they show us what they put like octopus or dolphins and they get to pick. I want to see what those guys
There's a
say.
dog on social media that does they'll throw the ball
Oh,
and
yeah.
it hits its nose.
Yeah.
The
and
corgi?
Then, the little corgi on the stairs.
Let's have our dogs
Love that
decide.
one.
Each of us do it. I'm gonna do it. All right. Thank you so much for watching News 6 at 6:30.
We'll see you back at 11. Hope you have a great
Bye.
day. Take care.
Daily aspirin has been the go-to for preventing cardiovascular problems for decades, but some new research is actually showing that may not be the best advice. Joining us now to discuss that, as well as some other options for heart health, is Dr. Daniel Nguyen from the Orlando Health Heart and Vascular Institute. Thanks so much for being here with us today, Dr. Nguyen.
Oh, thank you so much. Happy to be here.
So why has baby aspirin been so popular for heart disease and prevention for so long?
Of course, yeah. When baby aspirin was first discovered, it was really quite revolutionary. It works by preventing platelet aggregation, and that means it keeps platelets from clumping together.
Right.
And as such, it thins out the blood. It'll keep clots from forming, and that prevents heart attacks and as well as strokes.
So this new research that is coming out, what is it finding about baby aspirin that is problematic, and who really needs to be aware of that?
Exactly. So initially, the recommendation was for essentially almost everyone to be on a baby aspirin to prevent heart attacks, prevent strokes. Certainly now we're finding that by giving it to so many people, that increases the risk of bleeding. So we've, as cardiologists, as a community, we've kind of taken a little step back from recommending it for so many people. But certainly for people who have, say, they've had heart attacks and they've had strokes, then we still generally do recommend it.
So another medication in your toolbox. This one has also been around for a long time, but beta blockers are very popular right now. How do those work?
They work by slowing down the heart rate. And as such, they decrease the amount of work the heart has to do. So in patients who are, let's say, who have had heart attacks, it has been shown to improve outcomes by decreasing the amount of stress on the heart.
A lot of people really love the supplements and the vitamins. They look at it and they want to take a natural approach. Some of the issues with that are that it's not regulated the same way as pharmaceuticals are, and also the claims sometimes can't be substantiated that those types of treatments actually work. What are some supplements that we can take to help protect our heart?
It's very common to see patients on, for example, fish oil,
right?
And that overall is generally pretty safe, especially in patients who they might not need to take a statin quite yet. St. John's wort is a very common one that has a lot of interaction. So I always caution my patients to let's take a careful look through your med list and make sure that this doesn't interact with anything else. So it's always very important to check with your physician because depending on what medications you're already on, then it may interact with some of those medications.
And if you would like more information, you can visit orlandohealth.com/heart.